All right, what's up, guys? This is Ryan from Elevate Security, and now today I have a much requested video recently on this channel. I know a number of you guys that follow this channel are interested in the OSCP. Maybe you haven't taken a stab at it yet, or maybe you're like one of my viewers, like Infinite Logins, and you just took the exam fresh, and there's probably a lot of things on his mind as well when it comes to this. And that is my experience with the OSCP, and also answering some of the questions that you guys have so graciously submitted. I think there were some pretty good questions in the comments section recently, so I definitely appreciate you guys for that one. But yeah, definitely check out Infinite Logins' channel if you haven't already. That guy has some pretty cool videos as well. I definitely have learned a bit from his channel as well. Kind of digging into some of those exploitation tools like Covenant, like some of those like C2 stuff, and like he made a really good video on Covenant and it got me up and running with that. So yeah, definitely check out his content as well. But yeah, before I get started into this video, I will say that if you've been enjoying this content so far, please hit the like button. It helps out with the algorithms, and be sure to subscribe for more content, OSCP related, and just elevating your skill set in the field of offensive security. So now going right into it, I took the OSCP quite a while ago now, to be honest with you. It was back in the beginning of 2019. My exam was in February of 2019, so it's been quite a while since I've actually went at this. Things were a little bit different back then. It was the older version of the labs. Of course, from my understanding, the exam itself hasn't changed, but the labs have been updated. They're newer now. It's also more expensive now, right? But what I'll do as well is I'll link those videos of the old vlogs that I made, because if you guys weren't familiar, the way I first started this YouTube channel actually was just me vlogging about my experience in the OSCP, because there was another YouTuber at the time, and you know, it's been so long I can't remember what his name was, otherwise I would plug him as well, but he made these vlog style videos on OSCP, so I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really motivating as well, and really helpful to get that insider's perspective on it. So I wanted to do the same. And you know, now I've expanded the channel out a lot since then, and we do a lot more hands-on content here. But you know, when I go back for the OSCP, I'm definitely, because I can't actually record the OSCP itself, because that goes against their policy and stuff, right? So I can't do live hacking of OSCP, right? So I will definitely be at least recording those vlog style videos again. But yeah, I'll link those in the cards on this video. But I would definitely say that, yeah, really the whole OSCP experience, while it was hard, and yeah, I didn't pass, right? I came pretty close, as I said in multiple other videos. I got 3 of the 5 boxes, though with the extra credit, I possibly could have passed, but I think I just barely missed the mark. But even though I didn't pass, I really wouldn't say it's as scary as a lot of people make it out to be, as intimidating, right? Like even my lab experience, right? The lab guide does a pretty good job of teaching you what you need to know to succeed on it. It'll teach you how to use like all the tools that I wouldn't say all the tools that you'll need, but a good amount of them. And then the extra stuff you can learn through your own experience, doing stuff like Hack the Box, doing the lab boxes, and Googling stuff, right? I mean, ideally, that's how they want you to learn, right? That's why they're the try harder motto and all that crap, right? But yeah, I really feel like anyone can get this certification. Now, your mileage may vary depending on your experience. Maybe it's going to be easier or harder for you, depending on how you learn, depending on what kind of prior knowledge you're coming in with. But I think anyone can go from relatively no knowledge and 0 experience to going for this exam, 2-3 months lab, and maybe they don't pass it on the first try if they're new, right? But anyone can eventually pass this, even starting from 0. I honestly do believe that. Now, take that with a grain of salt because I haven't passed it yet, right? But I've known people, I've worked with people, trust me, I've worked with people in the field of security that are really, to be honest, not very skilled attackers, right? Not very skilled offensive security analysts that have passed this exam, right? Maybe it took them like 3 or 4 tries, but honestly, you'd be surprised like how unskilled people somehow manage to pass this exam, right? If you have the grit, if you have the desire to get this certification and you have the grit to just grind it out, right? Because that's the biggest thing. You know, you're not going to get this certification if you give up, right? I mean, it's impossible. The only time it's impossible is if you give up, right? If you keep going for it, you will get it, and you will get it eventually. And it's not going to be as grueling as you think it is. That's the key part, right? Even if you don't pass it on the first time, what you'll realize is going for this thing isn't as scary as like when it was all unknown, you know what I mean? And think about it, where you are right now with the OSCP is the hardest the OSCP will ever be, right? Because as you study this stuff, as you learn this stuff, you just keep compounding and compounding and compounding your knowledge, stacking knowledge up on top of each other. Yeah, maybe you get rusty on this or that, and you have to bring it back to the forefront of your mind, but that knowledge doesn't just disappear, right? You can keep building on it and building on it, right? So every time you take it, it's going to be easier than the time before. Now, maybe you don't pass it in 2 tries, 3 tries, maybe it takes you 4, right? Either way, right now is the least experience you will ever have. So therefore, right now is the hardest that the OSCP will ever be for you. So, you know, just a little reframe. Think of it that way because that's the absolute truth, right? So yeah, that's what I'll say with my experience, and maybe I'll make some future videos where I go more in depth on other things. I don't want this video to be too crazy long because I want to get to answering you guys' questions. So we're at the 7-minute mark now, so yeah, we'll just jump right into the questions here. And yeah, all the windows on my screen start disappearing, so, but yeah, it looks like we're still running here. All right, yeah, so we'll get right into it. So Henry Case asked the question of how much lab time did you get when beginning the course? I've heard mixed reviews and I'm trying to compile everyone's responses to make an educated decision for myself. Thanks. So for me, at the time that I started the OSCP at the very tail end of 2018, I was a lot newer to offensive security. So I just went ahead and got the 3-month lab. Now also take that with a grain of salt that the 3-month lab was cheaper back then because it was before the 2020 remake of the labs, right? So with that, I would say it really depends on your experience level. If you're coming in here with really little experience of like you haven't done much Hack the Box or some of these other CTFs, VulnHub, whatever. If you haven't done much of that, then I would say you probably want to lean towards the 3-month lab. But if you've done a lot of Hack the Box, honestly, and even if, say, your experience is 0 right now, and you want to train up before you even go into the OSCP, do a ton of Hack the Box, to be honest. I want to dig into some of these other tools, training tools a bit more, like TryHackMe, and I don't know, off the top of my head, I can't remember. There's some other ones. I haven't even touched those, so I can't really speak to how alike they are to OSCP, but one thing I will absolutely say is Hack the Box is extremely helpful to OSCP to the point that some boxes that I've encountered on the OSCP were almost carbon copy. Like the attack path to getting the shell and getting root on these boxes were identical in some cases. So yeah, just take that for what it is. So yeah, if you go in and you put a lot of time into something like Hack the Box, I would say, dude, you could probably get away with a 1-month lab, or you could do a 1-month lab, but I would say if you want to get the extra credit, which is doing all the lab and the lab report, maybe you want to do it in 2 months. It depends. If you're willing to grind your face off, then do the 1-month lab, man. Go for it. In fact, when I go for OSCP again, I'm going to do a 1-month lab, or maybe 2 month, but maybe very well I would do a 1 month. We'll see how I'm feeling up at that point in come January, February. But yeah, if you have a little bit of experience, just don't 1 or 2 months is probably good. right? Personally, I'm going to do the 1 month and try that out. But yeah, that's what I would say there. Now, Bandit Productions asked 3 questions. So yeah, I really appreciate you supplying me with some potential content. So thank you, Bandit, for that. His first question is, for OSCP Prep, did you use Hack the Box, TJ Null OSCP list, Try Hack Me, or VulnHub? Well, I guess I did kind of answer that in the previous one, but I use a ton of Hack the Box. Now, I'm not familiar with the TJ Null OSCP list. I think I've seen that floating around once, but at the time, I definitely didn't use that list. Maybe that's something I'll look into on this channel and maybe sort of highlight some of those boxes for you guys. I don't know, maybe potential content idea down the line. But like I said, I haven't tried Try Hack Me yet. I do mean to look into that one. VulnHub, yes, I have done that one, but that was way back in the day. That was back in 2018, right? So yeah, that's what I would say to that question. Now, the second question is, during the exam, are you allowed to view YouTube video resources? Yes, yeah, you can. It's completely open book, if you will. You can use any resources you want except for the ones they explicitly tell you can't, like SQL Map, SQL Ninja, vulnerability scanners, other than Nikto. Thanks for the comment. I forget who said that, but that was a good clarification. You can use Nikto on the exam, but don't use like Nessus or stuff like that. But yeah, as far as YouTube videos or notes, yeah, you can Google away. They want you to Google stuff on this exam. So let's see what else. Third question he asked was, for buffer overflow, is the exploitation on a Windows lab machine, but the target is a Linux machine? And then in parentheses says, so you end up generating a Linux payload at the end. Okay, so here's how the buffer overflow works. There's 2 different categories versions of the buffer overflow, right? We'll say it that way. So you have your Windows buffer overflows and you have your Linux buffer overflows. Essentially, buffer overflows are buffer overflows. However, depending on if it's a Windows-based one or a Linux-based one, the tools that you're going to be using are different, right? Like, for example, if it's a Windows buffer overflow, you're going to do that on the Windows machine that they give you, and you're going to use a Windows-based debugger like Immunity or something like that, right? If it's a Linux-based one, then you're going to use a Linux-based debugger like Ollie debugger, or like, what is it? GDB or something like that, right? Wait, I think Ollie debugger is Linux. Maybe it's Windows. But yeah, you could use like GDB, right? Or Evan debugger, or whatever it's called. So it just changes which tools you're going to be using, basically. But the concept is the same. Now, at the end, one's going to be done on a Windows system, and one's going to be done on a Linux system. But in the on the exam and in the lab, not only will you have your Kali box, they issue everyone their own Windows machine that already has the programs on it that you need to, like the programs that you'll actually be conducting both buffer overflow attacks against, so that you can it's a simulated environment, right? So you're not gonna have to like create an exploit on Linux for buffer overflow at least and port it over to Windows. Now I will say you may very well have scenarios where you are exploiting something else non-buffer overflow related on a Windows machine and then cross-compiling an executable or something like that. Yeah, potentially so. But as far as buffer overflows go, if it's a Windows box, you just do it on your Windows box they give you. If it's a Linux-based buffer overflow, you just do it on your Kali box. So it's really simple there. And that's what I'll say about that. So CEH Suresh says, which operating system should I use in the OSCP exam? Can I use Parrot OS or Ubuntu? So I will say yes, you can, but the caveat is you probably won't want to. Reason being is, now things might have changed now, but I wouldn't bank all my money, my like $1,000 on the OSCP attempt or whatever on it. But in the past, right? In the past, here's the problem. In the past, they've had a lot of really old things are exploiting really old, right? And to be really finicky, and their version of Kali Linux that they supply you with is not the current version. It's an older version that's more compatible for exploiting the boxes in their lab and exam and stuff like that, right? And so you might run into some issues where things just aren't working as they should be. So that's what I'll say about that. Now, I know they did overhaul, they updated a lot of stuff in 2020. Maybe that's not a problem anymore. In that case, yeah, sure, go ahead, use Ubuntu or Parrot or whatever. But just something to keep in mind, right? I'm just going to use their version of Kali that they give me whenever I take it. But when I'm actually pen testing in the real world, I'm using my own custom everything how I like it. But as far as the OSCP, it can be a little bit finicky, so I just use their stuff so I have a higher chance. Because to me, I don't know about you, but to me, nothing's more frustrating than something that should work, but there's some annoying technicality of why it's not compatible with this, and you got to downgrade this to get this tool to work so that you can properly exploit this legacy thing. And yeah, I just don't want to deal with that, so I just use what they give me. And then the final question was from Debprasad Banerjee, and I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but he asked, can you talk about the mindset one needs to have for OSCP? Now, yeah, I'll conclude with this. I don't want to, I will just preface everything by saying I haven't passed this exam myself, so don't take everything I say as gospel, but I am very confident that I'm going to pass it. If not this next attempt, I'm going to pass this exam. And I think that's exactly the mindset that you need to have if you plan on passing it, right? Because, what's that quote? There's the famous quote, right? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I think that was Henry Ford, but that's absolutely true, So you have to think you can, that is like the first step in the process. And I think what helps with that is realizing that it doesn't exactly matter if you pass it or fail, right? Within reason, like if you don't pass it, what happens, right? Like I already don't have the OSCP. So if I pass it, I still don't have the OSCP. Nothing bad happens to me, right? You don't need the OSCP to get employed and even to get like a 6-figure job in the security field. In fact, none of the people that I know in my 6-figure job have the OSCP. Actually, maybe one guy does. No, I take that back. There's a few guys that do, but I mean, you don't need it to, right? This is like the icing on the cake. I mean, if you can get this, then you're just showing the world that you're competing on a higher level, because most people won't be able to get this, right? So that just makes you even more awesome. You're already awesome, You guys are in here pursuing something that's so difficult that most people, quite honestly, wouldn't even dare attempt it, A lot of people, here's the thing, a lot of people like to watch content like this, and I love making this content, but the reality is a lot of people are just going to watch this content and kind of fantasize and be like, oh, that would be cool. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, yeah, that'd be cool if maybe one day I'll go for this. Right now I can't, I can't afford it, and my company won't pay for it, and this, and this, and I'm just not really good enough yet. I just need to practice more, train up more, and then one day I'll get it, right? But the reality is most people will be afraid to even go on this journey. So the fact that you even are going for this stuff, the fact that you're even attempting it, putting your money on the line, that's honestly taking more steps than most people are willing to take, because at the end of the day, it's all about getting your reps in, You're going to get better at this stuff by virtue of actually doing it. A lot of people, they're not actually practicing, right? They're not actually doing the work that it takes to improve and to get the result that they want. So if you are diligently, coming back to this stuff and, keep trying, I really don't want to say try harder. I refuse to say that. But no, honestly, if you keep going for this stuff, you're going to get it eventually. And even if you don't get it on your first, second, third try, like I was saying, you get it after that, right? It doesn't matter, right? So that's what I would say. You got to know that you'll get it though. You just got to know, right? And if you don't feel that way yet, then honestly, attempt it, right? If you really don't think you're ready for this, then sign up anyways and just view it as your trial run. Expect to fail and just say, okay, I'm going to fail. This is my first time. I'm not ready. I'm going to fail, but I want to see what it's like from the inside. I want to get experience on this. I want to collect data. I want to get some data points, right? Because think about AI. How does AI algorithms learn stuff? Machine learning and stuff. Trial and error. That's how we learn, So that's what you got to do. Sometimes you just got to go for it. So yeah, that's what I'll say to that question. And yeah, I hope this was motivating for you guys. I hope it helped. Let me know if there's any further questions that maybe I didn't cover in this video you wish I did. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching if you stuck along to this point.